Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM, with myself, Dave Young, and Andrew Mount to look forward to the weekend action at Kempton, Newcastle, and Southwell. We're chucking some all-weather into the mix as well with the Winter Derby, which of course has changed locations then this year, but we're mainly focusing, of course, on the jump action at Kempton and Newcastle. We're staying handicap chases to the fore at both of those venues. And the lads had a good time with things last week because we had Nemean Lion, who won for Andrew. Yeah, man, won really convincingly for Dave. Botox has won for me. And Rapper, who finished second, I believe that was for you, Dave, because you have not jumped off of that bandwagon since the start of the season. Finished second at a big price then for Dave. We actually have a second, third, and fourth in that race as well. So, yeah, the place efforts were to the fore to go with those winners earlier on as well. Right. We'll get cracking with the action because we begin with the 0 to 140 handicap hurdle at Kempton for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5. 11 to 2 the field then for this opener with BetMGM. This is an each way plus race. 4 places on offer as well. So, Andrew, would you like to take it away, please?
Yeah, this is a very tricky first race to get stuck into. I mean, Larky Poet seems fair enough at the head of the market, given that he keeps sort of, hanging, jumping out to his right, and did seem to improve to going right-handed for the first time at Exeter last time, making all the running. There is a bit of a concern that there is quite a lot of pace in this race, perhaps, and that they could set it up for a closer. The one I was going to come down on, though, at a bigger price is Fantastic Lady for Nicky Henderson. Now, this one's been running over fences, and it's got some great form as well over the larger obstacles. It was third to Uick in the Bet365 Gold Cup last year, and her only previous visit to Kempton saw her finish third to Pictory. That was this meeting a couple of years ago in the Pendle, I think. Only beaten 7.5 lengths. Now, Henderson's got quite a good record when he chucks one back over hurdles after running over fences. I think he's something like 3 from 7 in the Lanzarote when he pulls off that trick. And I just thought maybe coming back over hurdles after pulling up at Doncaster last time out, that she could run some sort of race here. So that's a Fantastic Lady for me.
12 to 1 shots as well to forgive that pulling up last time out for Andrew. Dave.
Yeah, nice looking race. 0 to 140, and officially it is a 0 to 140. We've got Pentland Hills, and it was 142. So as much as I crab these races, pretty competitive one, to be honest with you. However, I feel like the weather's marred a lot of horses' chances in here. I think there's loads of them that would prefer quicker conditions, and I do think that plenty are well in the grasp of the handicapper as well. One that isn't either of those things is the legend David Maxwell, Joker de Mai. I think this horse has a proper chance. 13 to 2.
The horse does, the jockey doesn't. That's the trouble.
It's 13 to 2 at the time of recording, so second favourite, relatively easily found. Kate said at the start of this is an extended place race. There's 4 places up for grabs. That's with most bookmakers, to be fair, especially sponsors BetMGM. But I just can't see how this horse is outside the first few. Does want the bad grounds, to be fair. Harry Derham, we know, has been quite good at target training horses. The run the last time, they dropped him back a furlong and he just couldn't get there. It was his second run in a handicap. He was 11 to 10 favourite, was beaten. But I think now they're stepping him up to 2 mile 5. He won over 2 mile 3.5 before. Is ideal for him. If it takes David Maxwell a little bit longer to stoke him up, then I think that's fine. The extra distance is going to help this horse. Like I say, the ground's going to suit him, whereas I don't think it will for many others. I still think he's miles ahead of his mark. I think if his last run was over this trip, instead of being a couple of furlongs shorter, he would have won readily. And yes, he went up a few pounds for that ride, but he would have gone up £10, I reckon, with a victory. So Joker de Mai and David Maxwell is a relatively confident fancy, but of course, you might as well take the each way concession for the fact that there's extra places up for grabs just in case he gets outridden in a finish. And that wouldn't be like him, would it?
I will leave that for Dave. I'll leave that for the lads to comment on there. The 115 at Kempton. 4 places on offer and 13 to 2 about Joker de Mai. Looks a good way to go. Go on the Maxwell. Right, we're sticking at Kempton for our next race, the 150. This is the grade 2 Adonis Juvenile Hurdle for the 4-year-olds over 2 miles, as I say, at 150. Now, Kalif de Berlais is the 10 to 11 market leader. He's been really well supported. 2 from 2 in his career. So, Dave, does he go 3 from 3 now?
Probably yes, and I think it's important because he had the run in France that was fairly late back end of last year. So Paul Nicholls would have had more time now to do more work with the horse. We know that he's done well in this race in the past with runners, and he's going to step forward for that first run in this country. So I think he's got to give the £5 to give me 5, but he should easily be able to do that. I'm pretty boring in this race, to be fair. I think it's only between those front two, but I do think Kalif to Berlais is probably the better horse. Even the form of the form of what he did first time up, jumping left a little bit, it is around Kempton again, but I think the experience of what he's done, I think it's going to stand the test of time, basically. He's a relatively short price though, right? About even money, so I wouldn't be exactly excited to get too far stuck into him. I think this track will suit him, like I said. I know he's run here before and he did jump left, but the fact that he's jumped left and then he's going to go here again, that little bit of experience for a juvenile, I think will be handy. So I don't see how the £5 is going to mean that Give Me 5 will beat him. So boring, but the favourite wins the Adonis. Although I wouldn't be getting overly excited from a betting heat. I'd rather just watch and see what he does.
Yeah, see what these juveniles can do. But like you say, and rightly so, he does have to give away that £5 then to all of his rivals in this one. So Andrew, is he able to do it? Are you as confident as Dave?
Yeah, tricky one. I mean, it's it wasn't the strongest race he won. He did jump out to his left, so he probably wants to go the other way around. The runner-up has beaten odds of 7-2 on at market rates the last time, but the 80-1 third did come out and win a small race next time out. Do you want to back him at 11-10 or even money? Probably not. It's more of a watching race, as Dave says. If I was going to throw a couple of quid at one, it would probably be Captain Marvellous for the Jane Williams yard. I've mentioned previously that she doesn't tilt at windmills when it comes to putting a young horse in a graded contest early in its career. This one won here last time out and good to soft ground. I've not sort of looked into the breeding and the suitability of soft or it could even be heavy conditions come Saturday. But just looking at the prices and how I know the yard operates, I'll go Captain Marvellous over the favourite.
Oh, Captain Marvellous. Yeah, he's massive. I'd say he's going to have no problem with ground like that. Big numb head on him. So, yeah, he's just a big brute of an animal. So hopefully Captain Marvellous then 9-1 might just be the betting angle in for Andrew in the Adonis. Now, we're switching from 2 mile juveniles to the proper stayers because we head up north to Newcastle for the Ida handicap chase, 5-year-olds and over 4 mile one at 2:08. Now, anglers Crag, who's unbeaten since joining Brian Ellison, 3 from 3 for this yard. He's your 100-30 market leader, 6-1 bar about the remainder. Andrew, so who wins the Ida?
Yeah, cracking races. I do like anglers Crag. He's hard to crab. Based on what we've seen so far for this yard. He only won narrowly at Carlisle in his first run for Brian Ellison. That race worked out incredibly well. He went up £5 for that. Another narrow win next time out, market raising, albeit with a bit more in hand than the margin suggested. Winning by 3/4 of a length, up another £5. And then they probably won't be too pleased that it was an 11-length victory next time out at Musselburgh because the handicap has just looked at the margin and shoved him up £11. But no reason why he can't make it 4 from 4 for the yard. I was also interested in, say, a couple of others. Tommy Bow, in particular for Seamus Mullins. I mean, Seamus Mullins does tend to go under the radar. This one's got a fantastic strike rate, 11 wins from 32 starts. And, he's a horse who, just you kind of like a lot of people perhaps haven't heard of. And then you realise how come he's won 11 times, and I've never sort of heard of it. But he'll like the ground, he'll like the extreme trip, and we'll be plugging on at the finish. But I'm going to be very boring. Go with the favourite here. I think it looks most progressive.
Can't crab the Crag. Anglers Crag then 100-30 ahead of the market, but a nice shout there for Tommy Bow. Here's an 8-1 chance in here. Again, an each way plus race with BetMGM. 4 places on offer with the 13 runners, 5th of the odds. Dave, are you looking to utilise that or you win only?
No, I've definitely been looking to utilise it, but there was one horse that I just couldn't stop looking at. I went for every runner as I like to do for every race. I think you probably should do that. The Flower of Scotland, I mean, as much as he's a bit of a Kelso specialist, he had a bit of a break, couple of 100-day break, pulled up first time up, but he's had a 111-day break since then. So I wonder whether that first time needed the run or whether something came out of it. So I put a line through that run. But his form at 3 mile 2 plus, bar that pull up, which was the comeback run, is 3-3-1. And the 2 spins that are about 4 miles, he finished 3rd and he finished 1st, producing RPRs of 126 and 128. So I think off of the mark that this horse is running off now, he's got to be there or thereabouts. Sandy Thompson's horses are running very well as well. They've had 8 of the last 12 have finished in the top 3, and 4 of those have won. Admittedly, they've been relatively short prices, so they've been fancy to go well. But handles bad ground, sometimes can get outpaced in quicker ground over shorter trips. Just think ticks a lot of boxes for a horse that should be there or thereabouts at the finish. And as I say, those couple of runs at the longer distances, I think he's relatively unexposed at the trip, but have proved that this is the sort of like extreme test that Flower of Scotland wants. So 8-1 he is at the time of recording, and you can get up to 5 places. There's 13 runners in this race. You can get up to 5 places. I don't even think we'll get 5 finishes if it's heavy bog ground. But Flower of Scotland is a resilient stayer. I'm not worried about the pull up the last time because they've given him enough of a break. So I think Flower of Scotland's got a proper chance.
8-1 Flower of Scotland, and has just been nibbled in since declarations as well for giving that pulling up last time out. You're both in very forgiving moods as well, but yeah, it's going to be properly testing, as we know, in that staying competition. Now hopefully they'll be all run and finished in time for the 2:27 as we head back to Kempton for the Grade 2 Pendle Novices Chase. 5-year-olds and over 2 mile 4.5 furlongs. Blow Your Wad 7-2 market leader, Le Patron. I'm still going to credit Matthew Sutcliffe just with this horse. In my mind, he's just a complete association with him. He is next in then at 4-1. So Dave, this looks a pretty trappy contest between those vying for favoritism in here. So where did you land?
Yeah, it's a good race, to be fair. It's like pretty competitive. Sometimes you get this renewal and it's, I don't know, like a lackluster one, and there's maybe 1 or 2 that have got a chance, but there's probably most of them have got a chance. Maybe not so much Soul Icon. Arclight for Nicky Henderson, we might get some form boost if Marsh Wren, gone over to Ireland Thurles today, goes and beats Harmonia Maker. So that's a one to keep an eye on after we've recorded, because the event hasn't happened just yet. But I've got a real soft spot for Tamariss, and I think that the quick turnaround for this horse is quite notable. Running a 3-runner affair the last day, so 13 days ago, and it's a horse that prefers to have a bit of a pace to aim at. Didn't get the chance to do that, had to force the issue himself, got picked up by that Cree Billy, I think that's how we say it, that's well touted for handicaps at Cheltenham now, had to give a few pounds away to that horse. So I think that's relatively good form, even though it was in defeat. Last couple of starts since they put cheap pieces on the horse, he's got an RPR of 149, 150 as well. Gets a bit of weight from some of the ones in here as well. I think that, like Le Patron that you've mentioned, now Nickelback's not in here, he's just going to be able to go and force the issue from the front. That's going to help everything else in the race, because most of them want a bit of a lead. He's going to be happy because I think he's going to be unpestered out the front. So we should see every horse give their proper running. And I would make it between Le Patron and Tamariss, with a slight favouring for Tamariss, because if they've turned around in these 13 days and they thought he was going to win the other day, he must have come out of that relatively well. And I think he's probably better than he showed in that last run, even though that last run is form good enough to win this race. So Tamariss for me, Le Patron the definite main danger.
And both of those two are at 4-1 in here, but Tamariss then the more notable play, I guess, than for Dave. Andrew, Pendle Novices.
Yeah, cracking race. Tempting to go for Tamariss because of Paul Nichols's fine record in this race. He does tend to jump and hang to his left, though, which has become more exaggerated since he's been switched to fences. Hasn't always stopped him winning on right-handed tracks, but I do worry that he might just be hanging left in the closing stages and might just find 1-2 good. I'd certainly want to play him in a forecast with my pick, though, which is Blow Your Wad for Tom Lacey. Now, this one's first 8 starts below Grade 1 level produced 5 seconds and 3 wins. Now, I tipped him up when he won at Kempton on Boxing Day. Now, after that race, there was a quote from Tom Lacey in the Racing Post, basically saying that he thinks he's a better horse on a flat track. That hasn't stopped punters betting him at Cheltenham next time. He's gone off 9-2. He's struggled to hold his position, was reportedly never travelling. But I think now back on a flat track, bear in mind he's 2 from 2 here at Kempton. 1 over hurdles, 1 over the fences on Boxing Day, as I said. The cheek pieces go on for the first time. That's been a positive angle for Tom Lacey runners over the years. And for a horse who is on and off the bridle, whether he's got a flat track or otherwise, I think the combination of the cheek pieces and the return to Kempton can see him revert to winning ways. So I'll go Blow Your Wad, and I'll do a reverse forecast with Tamariss.
With Tamariss then as well. Sorry if you're getting distracted by this thing the whole way through as well. She's being very needy today. Like, she normally makes an appearance, but luckily off camera. But Kiwi is in shot at the minute. But Blow Your Wad, the main play.
Did you say Kiwi?
Kiwi. She's and her sister Fig is over there, luckily staying out of the way. But she keeps coming into vision, just Yeah, unfortunately, she's being very needy today. But a notable mention also for Tom Morris as well, then in the Pendle Novices Chase. Right, 2.5 mile novice chases to the Heaver Sprint Stakes. 5 furlong performers here. Listed action at Southwell at 2:45. So 4-year-olds and over. So we need to change our brains, Andrew, back to the flat again. Sprinters here. Clarendon House, even money favourite. Who wins?
I'm glad you mentioned brains, because I've not had mine in so far today. So I'll just insert. I did have a good look at the draw at Southwell since the Topita. Well, I say since the Topita went down, since it's bedded down after the first year at the track, and there's really nothing in it. It's you can be forgiven for thinking, oh, you've got to be high towards this new rail or down the middle or far side, but really it's about pace. And since the beginning of last year, 26 5-furlong handicaps, 10 or more runners, and 9 of the winners made all. And if you backed all the front runners, you'd have made a profit of £42.88. Obviously, the hard part is trying to determine who's going to make the running pre-race, which isn't always simply a case of looking at the pace map. Now, Clarendon House is the short price favourite based on that good fourth Maidan last time out. The only slight, I mean, he won over the course of distance the time before. The only slight niggle is that he's been twice he's been abroad and come back and got beaten on his first domestic run after a foreign trip. So maybe I'm clutching at straws there, and it's a small sample size. But I'd be more tempted by Diligent Harry. He's got a fantastic record on the all-weather in Britain, 6 wins, 2 seconds and a third. He's 0 from 12 on turf, and you look at those second places, the first of them by a short head, second one by a neck, and even the third place was just by a length and a quarter, and that was in the Group 3 Chip Chase Stakes at Newcastle, when the winner and runner-up were drawn 10 and 12, and he was drawn down the middle in stall 2. So I think based on his all-weather form in the UK, Diligent Harry might just be a shade of value against the Jolly.
Yeah, 7-2 against the even money favourite, the head of the market. Diligent Harry winner last time out. Perhaps represents the value, says Andrew. Dave, do you agree?
No, I disagree. We have to have these races, don't we? But it's a boring thing, because I do think that Clarendon House does just win this. Down in class here from Group 2 to a listed race. Course and distance winner, 2 from 2 on the all-weather, getting some weight. Looks pretty obvious, right? Diligent Harry, I would literally just to make notes, because that's all I have to say if the favourite wins. Diligent Harry, what the niggle that I've got in the back of my mind, which is again the same as Andrew, maybe clutching at straws with the foreign affairs, then coming back. He's 0 from 3 under John Fahey. That worries me a tiny bit in terms of jockey bookings. The Newcastle, like Clarendon House, Luke Morris is 2 from 2 on the horse. So, yeah, I think Clarendon House wins. I did try and look at some in behind. We have to give a mention to Thunderbear, don't we? The mixer for
I know, I was waiting for this. There's no Explorer in here, though.
Well, exactly. And it's not from 2 on the all-weather as well, suggests this probably isn't a target, especially when both of those all-weather defeats came sandwiched with a win in between on the turf. So, watch Thunderbear when he goes back on the turf. We got to give it a mention for the Thunderbear Nymphadoras or Nymphadora Thunderbears. But Clarendon House, I think, is probably like the right favourite, should win this. But 5 furlong sprint in it, anything could happen.
Anything could happen, yeah. But Clarendon House and Dave's selection. I'm so pleased. I was thinking, surely at some point one of you was going to mention Thunderbear. Yeah, no Nymphadora to take on in this, and perhaps it isn't the aim, but 10-1, and he deserves a mention every single time he runs on this show. Right, we're back to Kempton, back to the jumpers again. The grade 2 Dovecote Novices Saddle, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 3 o'clock. Lump sum 2-1 market leader, Fiercely Proud 7-2, and the wonderful horse, the blonde beauty that is Secret Squirrel at 11-2, 7-1 bar. About the remainder, Dave, novices again.
Yeah, I feel like I'm either going to look like half intelligent or I'm going to look like an absolute idiot in this race, and it's probably more likely going to be the latter, because I'm really against Jericho de Repene form this season, and Secret Squirrel's running behind him. The favourite has as well, Lump Sum, and then Fiercely Proud's been behind him too. So I'm just against that type of form looking as good as it is. Panjari's been on the go since Chepstow's season opener as well. I know he had like a nice win the last day, but I wonder whether that was first time cheap pieces. He did a bit better than they expected, and they thought, oh, it's a weak enough Dovecote, let's run him in here. So I'm just sort of away from some of the ones towards the front, and I do think that I don't think I'm clutching as much as it might look on the 2 that I'm going to put up against the field. I've got a slight preference for one of them because it's less quirky than the other, but the one that is quirky is entered in 1 race at Cheltenham, would not get off its current mark. I'm not saying they're going to go and win this and then win at Cheltenham, but it's definitely got more ability than it's shown. So the two that I'm taking on with is Willie the Builder and Idywood. They both ran behind Look Away at Cheltenham when everyone was annoyed that the trainer didn't exploit the handicap mark that weekend. Ran him in a novices hurdle race, won nicely, and then after was second in the Greatwood behind Iberico Lord. We've seen what he's done since, so we know that that's decent form. And these two horses weren't too far behind either. That horse is now 136 rated, Look Away. And Look Away ran behind Captain Teague as well in the Challow. Like I say, these weren't that far behind. Now, Willie the Builder hangs right, does that all the time. And the fact that he does it so much now and he's had so much racing, it worries me either there's, I don't know, something up with him or whether he's got a niggle, but you trust at the yard no more than I do. And it may be he's just not so much straightforward. But has that county entry at Cheltenham. I think he's better than his mark. Was in a handicap this week that they took him out of. Again, probably seeing that this was a weak enough race. So he's a massive price. I think he's worth a mention and worth a small play on. Idywood, though, looks a bit more straightforward. I think on the slower ground as well, that's going to suit the horse. Always gives his running there or thereabouts. And I think if I had to choose one of the two as a preference, it would be Idywood. I will play both of them for small stakes against the field because I'm just against those ones towards the head of the market. But it's not a vintage Dovecote, but it does look like it's a competitive race all the same.
Taking on the Jericho de Repene form with a 14-1 shot and an 18-1 shot then. And Idywood, you said it's going to be your main play there out of those two in here. So the bigger price one is the main play as 18-1. About Idywood then for James Snowden and Gavin Sheehan. Andrew, head of the market, Jericho de Repene form, bigger price. How are you playing it?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I took on Jericho de Repene at Doncaster last time out and actually ended up betting the second and third. And I mean, you could argue that, you know, although both gave him a race, they weren't running in their ideal conditions because you've got Fiercely Proud, who's 3 from 3 on right-handed tracks, who's running left-handed, and you've got Lump Sum, who's 2 from 2 on soft or heavy ground, who is running on good ground. So, you know, both will be happier given the conditions they're encountering today. I thought Secret Squirrel looked like he wanted to go left-handed when he was second at Taunton last time out. Probably should have made more use of the near side rail. Didn't in the closing stages, so I wasn't sure about him going this way around. It's a very weak race for the grade, so I just thought it was between the front two. So the bigger price of the pair, I'll go for Fiercely Proud to make it 3 from 3 right-handed. All eyes on Marsh Wren at Furler, so I expect at the moment in Kate's household. I'm just watching the exchange betting at the moment rather than the race itself. He's
thanks for buying me the time.
Even money, it looks like a race. Come on, Marsh.
Come on, Marsh.
The
I know, I'm watching
Superman.
it over my... Good job. Good girl. Go on, Marsh. Oh, no.
Laura,
She's tough. She's hard.
Evens each of 2. She's odds on again. She's 10 on. She's 10 on. 14 on. Lay 100s. Lay 100.
Aye.
Oh, see the British kangaroo beat the Irish in the backyards. Go on, Sophie Leach yard, Stuart Edmonds yard. Oh, I'm so pleased about that. She's such a hardy so-and-so.
Fantastic. We don't see many British trainers take the Irish on in their own backyard. So
no, exactly. They come over here and boot us out of the way every time. So why not get a little bit of revenge? Yes, very well done to all of them. Thank you for buying me time as well when I was like distracted over my shoulder. But yeah, so you're going to go Fiercely Proud though. More importantly, for the Dovecote then at Kempton. Now we switch back to the flat again, the Group 3 Winter Derby Stakes, 4-year-olds and over. Now over a mile 3 at 3:20. And of course, this has changed venues as well. Southwell now gets the call up, Andrew. So Lord North heading the way. Will he win this on his reappearance before his foreign races that he's going to be taking in, or how are you playing this?
Yeah, very possibly. Although you know, he is an 8-year-old now. I think I may have taken him on last year because he was a 7-year-old now, and he still went and won anyway. But I was looking at the second favourite here again, so I've just managed to close down the Racing Post website. Other websites are available, so I'll just return to that one. Yeah, second favourite. Actually, I take that back. Third favourite now. Oh my goodness, even where's he gone? Oh no, I know what I've done. I haven't refreshed after looking at this race at the 5-day stage. So the one I fancy taking him on with is Kitchen. No, the favourite wins. 13-8 is probably a good price.
There you go. There's the full round back again. Lord North then it goes and wins for Andrew. But yeah, I mean, Dave, it's an interesting race. Lord North, he is now an 8-year-old, but we knew that this is going to be his aim coming back for his reappearance. It's just basically a question whether he's fit or not, is it? Or
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think so.
I mean,
I think
the surface isn't going to be a problem, is it either? I mean, he won at Newcastle, didn't he, back in the day? He's 2 from 3 on the all weather, and yeah, I just think he's going to outclass this lot. I certainly hope so. Anyway.
yes, Andrew definitely hopes so. Dave, you likewise?
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is that Military Order, the one that is actually officially second favourite and still in the race, has been nibbled a bit in here. But I watched it run actually. So I keep saying it's terrible, right? I watched the horse run. I watched the horse run the last day, and I'm not so good with the all weather in terms of like placings and things like that, but it was in front. Daniel Tudhope kicked for home, and then as soon as Enemy came to him, he seemed to pick up a bit more. His head was hanging a little bit to the right hand side as well. So as much as Military Order did get beat, I do think that Military Order could have beat Enemy if he was throwing it all in. But then when you're coming up against a horse like Lord North, who's officially much better than you, and obviously, like we know, he's going to be targeted for this. We're not going to be like not wound up for this. It's going to be, this is a case to win this race to set him up for his next exploit. You'd expect to or you'd want to see the tenacity of a horse that knuckles down and gets his head in front. Because if you go and do that against a horse like Enemy, who's a very good horse, you go toe to toe with Lord North, and one of those needs to pull out more. Lord North's just going to eat him up. So, given that's happened, I'm surprised that Military Order's being nibbled a little bit. I can't believe that Lord North is 13-8. 8-11 he was for the race last year. And as much as it's a different year, he's a year old on that type of stuff, I think this is possibly just as easy. So the 13-8 about Lord North, yes, he's a favourite in a race like this. Yes, he's the top rated. Yes, he's the most obvious one. But no, he should not be 13-8. That's a massive price. So I'm tempted to get stuck in to Lord North. I think he's a good thing.
Yeah, 13-8, like I say, in comparison to the price he was for this race last year at 8-11, to basically beat Tyridian, see who he beat in the race last year, despite being an 8-year-old before he probably goes and takes on a good Dubai turf, then Lord North is a good bet. Right now, again, we have a really competitive contest at Kempton, the Coral Trophy Handicap Chase, the Premier Handicap, 5-year-olds and over 3 miles at 337. So Phlegmatic, 5-1 market leader, Dave. Is that a play or a lay?
Oh, it's annoying because it's very ground, not dependent, but it's very ground different to what we were expecting it to be a couple of weeks ago when the markets opened up. And I could see why he was popular for the race. Obviously, he was beaten in it last year. Now, imagine, right, running at Kempton, running over 3 miles and beating a King George winner Froden 11 lengths and still not winning the race. I feel sorry for him for that effort. I feel even more sorry that the rain has come, because I think that's going to be enough for me to want to take him on. He's as short as he is because he's well fancy, got an obvious case, or an obvious chance everyone would see. But I do think that ground now means that others are going to come in for support. His price is going to get bigger, and I'm sure he'll still be popular, right? There's some places that are up for grabs. I'm sure he can go well. He's not completely without a chance, but the ground is enough of a concern that I'd have to be against him now. I feel similar enough with Tweed Skirt as well. Like Tweed Skirt would be another one that course and distance winner this season, but I think wants quicker ground. So some towards the front of the market, I think, are going to end up having to drift. And at the time of recording, there was one that I thought was a monster price. It's probably going to get smashed up. I think this is one of the best bets of the entire weekend as well. Now the ground has changed around, right? So the two soft ground winners that I think are worth mentioning is Forward Plan and Blackjackmagic. But it's Blackjackmagic that I can make a pretty strong case for, I think, right? The two that I've mentioned, Forward Plan and Blackjackmagic, met against each other in Wincanton. Forward Plan is, I mean, maybe £3 or £4 or £5 different. It's like got a better like balance of weights now, but was well beaten by Blackjackmagic. Blackjackmagic that day beat 335, who, for the pain of us and Andrew, especially for me talking about him right hand, went and won last weekend, so the form's good. But if you look at the race that Blackjackmagic had after at Ascot, where he was behind Victorino, who we know was a very good thing that day, Yeah Man was in second, and Phlegmatic was up there too. He was 3 lengths ahead of him, or a length ahead of him, but there's a £3 pull with him and Phlegmatic, and the ground's better for him as well now. So I think, although he got beaten there, that's as good a form as the first time. Sam Twiston Davis is on board, one of my favourite jockeys of a horse over a fence. I think he's nice and aggressive, but within like kindness of the horse, like he just knows how to get the best out of him. Blinkers have been applied as well, so they're obviously, I guess, targeting this. I think that's a positive sign as far as I'm concerned. Everything points to this horse having a serious chance, especially now the ground has come. So there's a £5 pull between him and Forward Plan for that Wincanton run. I don't think that's enough to switch the two of them around. At the time that I started writing this, Forward Plan was a lot shorter than Blackjackmagic, but Blackjackmagic's now been nibbled. He's 8-1 top price. I do not believe that he'll be 8-1 by the time this video gets published, but I would quite happily Blackjackmagic all the way down to something like 4 or 5-1 for this. He wins this race, and he wins this race easy.
Ooh, again, bullish as we always like. 8-1. We knew it was going to come at some point, so I'm pleased it's coming with this lad in the first time headgear combination. Then 8-1, and of course this is an each way plus race though, with 4 places on offer. Should you want to take advantage of that with BetMGM, Andrew, please be just as bullish as Dave.
Not quite, I'm afraid. I'll never be as bullish as Dave about anything, I don't think. Even about it being Friday tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday. I mean, Phlegmatic, you've got to respect the course form. 3 wins, a second by a neck in this race last year, a third, and a nowhere from 6 starts at Kempton. As Dave said, the ground is a concern. Forward plan, I was slightly, having put him up in my column at Doncaster last time out, and I'd seen him go down by a nose in the Great Yorkshire Chase. He was one of the first ones I looked at. Softer going and returning to a right-handed track is a bit of a worry. Last time he ran this way round, he was beaten 25 lengths behind Blackjackmagic in the Badger Beer, albeit on his seasonal debut. And the time before that, when he ran right-handed, he was beaten 22 lengths again at Wincanton, and that was on soft ground. So I'd worry about the ground, worry about the track. Blackjackmagic is the only horse ever to have beaten 300 through 5 on a right-handed track. I mean, that horse is so frustrating because I was banging on for ages about it. Got to go right-handed, and thought he'd develop into a King George player, having jumped out to his right, went behind L'Empresse at Cheltenham a couple of years ago. Following season, never ran right-handed once. Did so on his comeback. So second in the Badger Beer, right-handed again last week. Won at Ascot. Hopefully we'll see them going for the Bet365 Gold Cup this year rather than the Grand National, which I think would be a big mistake. But then I'm guessing Paul Nicholls knows more about these things than I do. I respect him. The trouble is, he jumped brilliantly when he won at Wincanton. Since then, his jumping's let him down. So it was a case of toss a coin. How is he going to react to the first time blinkers? I certainly wouldn't back him each way. He's the kind of horse who could win in the style Dave expects him to, or bomb out completely. So if you're an exchange player, I certainly wouldn't put you off laying him for a place and backing him to win. And of the rest, the one I want to be with is Killer Kane, the one I'm going to put up. Killer Kane always needs at least 2 runs at the start of the season. His first full season racing, he won 3rd time out. Second season, he won 4th and 5th time out. Last season, he won 4th time out. And all around this time of year, I think he's only ever won in February and March. Now, last time out, it was 3rd run, 3rd time after a wind surgery, softer ground than ideal. And you were like, do I, don't I? And he's run well, beaten a length and a bit as the 9-4 favourite over this course and distance. I still think that will bring him on slightly. So although I'd have preferred good to soft ground rather than soft, I think at a double figure price, 4th time out, Killer Kane might just be ready to strike this time.
12-1 shot as well for Killer Kane in that each way plus race, as I mentioned beforehand, with BetMGM. And of course, he has had that wind operation, or second start after the wind operation for him as well. Right, that's everything from our scheduled races. Andrew, I can't quite remember. Did you have anything from anywhere else?
I just wanted to mention another race at Kempton, the 2.5 mile handicap chase at 4:10. And one of them is Heltenham. Well, two in the race, actually. Heltenham and Golden Sun. Now, Heltenham trained by Dan Skelton. Dan Skelton trains Heltenham. Should be running him at Cheltenham. Now, this one has jumped out to his right on several occasions. But he's only ever, since finishing 3rd at Carlisle 2 years ago, he's only ever run left-handed. And he's won that way around a few times, often on big galloping tracks where he gets plenty of room. But I just thought going right-handed again could bring about a bit of improvement. He runs in the same colours as Phlegmatic. And the other one was Golden Sun for Paul Nicholls, who comes here on the back of 2 pulled-up efforts. Now, he's got cheek pieces on for the first time, and you can back all Nicholls runners in first-time cheek pieces who were 4th or worse last time out and make a good profit. And of course, you go back to that 3 runs ago, his UK debut. He was second to Iroko at Warwick, jumped out for his right on a left-handed track. And so both runs since, pulled up, Aintree left-handed, Newbury left-handed. So I thought with the headgear, going right-handed, there's just a chance that Golden Sun could bounce back. So that was the one. I've not seen any prices though, so I wouldn't couldn't recommend anything yet. But there might be something on this race in my column.
Yes, so watch out for the column. Like I say, I haven't got any sort of prices at this present, but a couple of notable mentions there for Andrew. Dave, I'm pretty sure you didn't have anything else in from this weekend because we've covered a lot. So we'll get stuck into the Cheltenham chat, therefore. And Dave, I'll let you take this one away first, therefore. Cheltenham Antipost Angles, we've not got long left until the main event itself, but do you still have any plays?
I do. There's two bets, I guess, that are up for suggestion or for you to think about. Not necessarily saying go and put your hard purse cash on it, but the first one probably maybe stick a free bet or have a think about it. And it's mad as well because Andrew's just mentioned a horse in Iroko that I'm going to mention in this one as well. So the first race we talked about at Kempton, I did very well to not talk about him in that point. I've made you wait, and if you've waited, then you'll be rewarded because No Ordinary Joe has Kevin Brogan on board. He's £1 higher than when he was second in the Martin Pipe last year, beaten by Iroko, who is now being touted as the second coming despite having some sort of career-ending setback, but now all of a sudden he's fine, he's going to go and win the Turners. He's a general 14-1 shot for the Martin Pipe. So whether he wins it or he doesn't win it, he will be the wise guy's horse going into Cheltenham. He will go off single figures. Nicky Henderson's already said in his stable tour that they're going to go back to the Martin Pipe again for No Ordinary Joe. He's in the Coral Cup, but off his mark of 140. There's no danger of him winning this weekend. He will go for the Martin Pipe. So definitely tie a few quid up in him at 14-1. Non-runner money back, of course, because they're all offering the concession. You might as well do it. Another one that's a bit more clutchy, and I also did well not to mention it when we covered the race earlier, is Courage for the Boodles. Dan Skelton, right? Current mark of 122. That's a little bit behind the figure you want it to be. Typically, the band's 124 to 134 for a Boodles, but it's changed to a different course now, and maybe those stats are not as relevant as we like to think. This horse has just not been seeing out his races. The last twice, right, they've applied a tongue tie, and again, he still didn't really seem to be seeing out his races. But if you go back and watch this horse, he travels so strongly against pretty decent horses for the vast majority of the race, and then it's just the last bits that he doesn't, right? So he won first time up, fell behind Embreeden Fast, so I don't know if that's how you say the name, but like a well-touted horse. And I feel like after it fell, they thought, let's just keep going with this horse and maybe get him in the Boodles. He is as big as 40-1 in places. He's a 33-1 general poke for it. Again, non-runner money back, you can think about that. See how he runs. But if they gave him some sort of like win procedure or gave him some headgear or something, some excuse as to why he's not been seeing out his races the last couple, I think he could look like a plot in hindsight. So I mentioned him before anyone else jumps on that bandwagon. Courage for the Boodles is a monster price and well worth thinking about.
Yeah, 33-1 with BetMGM. I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, is he sure this horse goes scrolling and scrolling and scrolling? Yeah, 33-1 then. Watch about him. Andrew, Antipost plays Cheltenham.
Yeah, there's an interesting race at Chepstow, the Pertemps qualifier at 3:08. Now, Nicky Henderson's got Walking on Air. Last year he finished 5th to Good Time Johnny in the Pertemps final. He was a 9-1 shot, run off a mark of 138. He then went to the Punchestown Festival and got chinned, but probably ran as well as could be expected for a British Raider in a 25-runner Irish handicap, finishing 9th. This season he's had quite a sort of unusual campaign. He started off as a fences, ran a good race. He was 5-2 favourite at Newbury for his Chase Derby, straight into handicap company. Finished second by a neck to Henry's Friend, because we've seen that form, well advertised last time out. I think Henry's Friend then won at Hereford after that, before that Reynoldstown win. But now he's only like sort of 33-1 for the Brown Advisory, but perhaps they're keen to keep that novice status intact over fences this year, and they're going back over hurdles in the Pertemps qualifier. Assuming he qualifies and gets in the main event, he's only going to be, sort of, £1 or £2 higher, very similar mark to last year. So it's a race that Henderson's done well in. You look at Mill Green, and that race, he often gets one in the frame at a big price. And so maybe Walking on Air can run well in that 3:08, perhaps not winning it, maybe finishing 2nd, 3rd or 4th, and then run a big race in the Pertemps final itself.
Watch him in the final then. Right, loads of Cheltenham angles to go at. So all that is left for me to do now is to get your naps. Now, Andrew, before we start recording, you're abusing me about me getting caught by surprise on the radio for my nap. So I'm going to go to you first for your nap.
I'm going to go Killer Kane in the big handicap chase at Kempton. I know the ground's softer than ideal, but I've been, you got it back in 4th time out. You got it back in 4th time out. It's 4th time out. And maybe he just needed that run first time after a wind up last time, and 2nd time after the wind up could be when to catch.
12-1 Nap Killer Kane in that 3:37 at Kempton. Dave, Nap, I'm guessing where we're going to go, but please reveal.
Well, yeah, I'm going to nap off then. I've got to do Blackjack Magic. I got put off of Victorino, which was a good thing last time when Andrew tipped up Chambly. But Blackjack Magic, especially with the way that the ground's gone, is a very strong fancy. Lord North obviously wins as well, but let's put one up at a price. And you can play the pair, can't you? And it still pays more than Lord North.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, 12-1 then for Killer Kane, and then Blackjack Magic at 8-1 then for Dave. I'm not going to put off a nap because, as you might have mentioned, I haven't given a selection on this because I've been working this morning. So again, it would be irresponsible of me, having only really seen decks as I sat down to present this, to be providing you one. So it's all on the lads then, and they're taking each other on at Kempton as well. So best of luck to both of you. I don't know, dead heat territory. Now I'm going to sit on the fence between these two, but big thank you to the guys for all of their hard work. Big thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM. A bigger thank you to you at home for watching. We enjoyed the action at this weekend. We'll be back again next week.